Tola.
Here.
Chairman Fernandez.
Here.
We have our quorum. We have our board attorney, Mr. Ratner, Mr. Reber, Mr. Diner, Ms. Cucci, Mr. Meinhardt are not present this evening, and Mr. Pardon.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Just want to go through the general procedure for tonight's hearing. The applicant is represented by an attorney who will explain the application. The applicant's attorney will call one or more witnesses to give sworn testimony in support of the application. Members of the board may ask the witness questions when the attorney for the applicant has no more questions for a witness. Interested parties in favor of or in opposition to the application may question the witness about that witness's testimony. When all of the applicant's witnesses have testified, if there is an entity or group formally appearing as a party in support of or in opposition to the application, that party may call witnesses. When all the witnesses of all the parties have been heard, members of the public may give sworn statements for or against the application. Is there anyone here wanting to enter a formal appearance as a party, either in support of or in opposition to the application?
Mr. Chairman, can I just call that matter that's
Oh, sorry.
scheduled?
We're in a rush to get moving.
Yeah,
I apologize.
It's Cooperman Barnabas Medical Center, application number 2019-49-PFSP, amendment number 2 for 94 Old Short Hills Road, Block 7300, lots 4.01, 5, and 6. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. So you heard the opening comments. Bless you. And welcome, and if you'd like to enter your appearance.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Douglas Janasek, Janasek, from the Gibbons Law Firm. The application really is the next step and was foreshadowed when we appeared, and really when Peter Carton appeared in front of you from Gibbons, who, by the way, just retired this summer. So
Well,
that's why I'm here, big shoes to follow.
Well, welcome.
Yeah. At that time, it was indicated that we really didn't have a signage package, and the board approved the site plan for the cancer center, which, as you can see, is well underway, as well as the parking garage, and that's proceeding really, really great. Since that time, there's been work on a signage package, and because of the cancer center being in a somewhat different location, somewhat remote, not connected to the hospital, basically, all the wayfaring signage on the site needed to be changed so that the cancer center would be identified. And so there was really an overhaul of the entire signage package for the facility. There's 3 existing monument signs that are basically on Old Short Hills Road. Those are going to be replaced with new signs to take the place of those existing signs. And then there'll be another freestanding monument sign, at the cancer center to direct that. And there'll be building signage, which we can show you. Now, coincidentally, some people say, there's no such thing as a coincidence, but when we submitted this application, you may have noticed that there were just letters, random letters, to indicate what the sign was going to say on the building, and that's because we didn't have the ability to, we didn't have the donor confirmed. Well, just recently, the donor has been confirmed. It's the Melchiori family, and so this will be known as the Melchiori Cancer Center. We have one witness, Matt Cavalier from the signage company, who has prepared exhibits to show you, take you through all those signs. So with that, maybe Matt can be sworn in.
That would be great, and you're correct. And when this was decided, memorialized back in January 22, and we retained jurisdiction over the signage. So,
Correct.
If you can please call your first witness.
Okay, Matt Cavalier, I'm sorry. You fooled me with the Italian.
If you'll raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. You swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Okay, please just give us your full name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Cavalier, A-L-I-R, last name, with Cloud Gesher Design out of Philadelphia.
Is he being offered as an expert in signage, or as an expert, or just a fact witness?
Well, I don't believe there's any, you don't have any licenses in connection with signage, do you?
Okay,
Right, so, yeah.
okay.
About 38, our company.
Thank you.
Yep.
So Matt, the chairman indicated that since 2022, the board's retained jurisdiction over, ultimately approving the signage package for the site. Why don't you take us through the process to get to the signage package that we're presenting this evening?
Sure. So we were retained by RWJ Barnabas Health And we have since coordinated with the architects, Francis Kaufman Architecture, and we were charged with creating a signage package for the new cancer center. And so I will outline that in this package, both exterior and interior. Obviously, today, what we're addressing is the exterior signage package, which is visible to the public. So, take you through this. So we've been working with RWJ Barnabas Health, as well as their institutional partners, to create this signage package and working within the brand constraints of those entities. Since beginning the work, we have had an update to the Rutgers Cancer Institute mark. So that is something that you may notice between the submitted articles and what we're showing today. Again, we can issue an update in terms of the documentation that you possess. This is another late change. So the key differences in this package are that we have an updated Rutgers Cancer Institute logo and word mark, as well as having the update of the donor name as well for the building. So
We need
this
to
is
mark
the,
that,
sorry?
addressing the chair.
Yeah, please, and this is updated? So this
Yes,
will be A1?
yes. So this is the new logo, yes. And
This will be
then,
the whole package, right? This is, how many pages is that?
I think we probably have about 15 to 20
Okay,
pages
so
in
we'll
this.
mark the whole set A1.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, excellent, thank you. Yeah, I believe we also have civil plans entered, so that would be the second exhibit.
Do we have the date that was completed, new package?
This package is revised as of July 12th, 2024. Okay. And this is the set of documentation in terms of the logo and marks for Barnabas Health and the medical center itself. So this is all coordinated as part of the same campus. It's an extension of this facility. We're recognizing all of these standards that have been put in front of us. This is the location plan of the site that I have up on screen now. So all of the signage exhibits are called out with the red boxes and lines drawn to those exact locations. There are several signs of note on here. We do have building signage that is attached directly to the facade. There is went back one. There is a main pylon sign, so that serves as an identification from the roadway and is highly visible to passing traffic. And then there is also a series of vehicular directional signs, much smaller in scale, so that visitors and users of this campus are able to navigate within, in a clear fashion. This diagram that I have up on the screen now demonstrates the visibility sight lines from passing traffic of the signage in various areas of the cancer center. So this purple zone is the least visible. Oh, this is jumping around on me. I apologize for that. The purple zone is the least visible. In most cases, this is obstructed by foliage. It has a very limited visibility except for this connecting driveway that runs to the main hospital loop. And that is where the health system brand and their partner in Rutgers Cancer Center is displayed. So that is primarily located on this circulation tower, mainly in the brick texture on the right side of the building there. And then the blue sight line that you're seeing here is the main identification for this facility. So that is the portion of the building where the donor name and the cancer center is displayed prominently along the skyline, rooftop edge, as well as on the canopy at the entrance as well. The yellow portion that you're seeing on this diagram is the visibility that you see for the pylon sign to passing traffic. And again, that is appropriately scaled. Everything that we have demonstrated here is responding to the architecture as well as visibility and sightline that is appropriately sized for legibility of the traffic and the approach for visitors. And this is our first rendering that we're showing here. So this is where the donor name is prominently displayed. You can see that it is housed within the roof line. It is responding to the architectural space that is allotted for it. And everything that is aesthetically carried out here is an extension and a mimic of what you're seeing at the main medical center. So it's all meant to be part of a comprehensive package. And then along the awning here, you see that we also have the Cancer Center name. On approach, you will not necessarily be able to read the skyline sign above you, so having the canopy mounted letters is important as well in terms of establishing a sense of arrival for patients and visitors. This is a night rendering view. Again, working with the architectural package, we have a sign illumination from within the letters. It's not external. It is internal illumination of the individual letter sets.
So it seems obvious from that image
Yes.
that there's no signage or lighting that you're proposing to the rear of the building. Is that right?
That's correct. This experience is focused entirely on the drop-off area. We do not have signage on the backside of the building at all. And this is the technical diagram showing some of the spaces and offsets of signage. You know, we have a 4-foot letter for the Cancer Center name and the donor. That is something that is legible and sufficient for viewing from the roadway at the passing speed of vehicles. Several other items of note here as well. You have the health system logo on the side that is facing away from the front. And then the Rutgers mark, as I mentioned, on that vertical circulation tower with the red brick background. It's also important to note that we have the pharmacy identification sign at this main lobby entrance as required by the health accreditation agencies.
Do you know how the 4-foot donor name Cancer Center letters match to the ones at Cooperman next door?
They are similar in character, but they are smaller than the main hospital. And this is a smaller facility, so everything is
Closer to the road.
everything is done in proportion for legibility, distance, as well as the architecture. We didn't want to oversize this for the building.
No, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And the lighting that surrounds the facade, is that similar to what's over at the
Yes.
hospital as well?
That's correct. It's a similar program. They would be in sync with each other.
That's reflected in the pictures we have, but not in the slide you showed before. one.
This exhibit?
Right, the one we have has the colored trim around the outside of the building.
Yes. So this would be responding to an RGB capability. I believe at the main medical center, they have the ability to recognize certain events such as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It would be the same for this building.
So whatever colors they're changing, this will be.
Yes, they would be in sync with each other, not off sync.
And just following up on Steve's comment, none of that can be seen from, or was reflected backwards toward the residents on Ross Road.
That's correct. My understanding is that all of this lighting is focused on the front of the building, and really this feature is devoid on the back of the facility. Again, this is a close-up of that entry feature, so you're seeing the canopy letters and the retail pharmacy as required.
What's the size of the canopy letters?
The canopy letters are a 2-foot or 24-inch height character. And again, that's comparable for that approach within the driveway. You're not necessarily going to be able to read that as passing traffic. That's what the skyline sign is for, as well as the pylon. This is the proposed monument sign. So we're prominently featuring the Cancer Center. This is a point of navigational need. Our main objective here with all the signage in this package is to focus vehicular traffic to the correct facility. So folks heading to the main medical center would be directed there, and visitors and patients that are specifically going to the cancer center are directed to this facility. And that aids in getting traffic off of the road and eliminating or reducing public safety concerns in terms of traffic backing up on the roadway.
How does the size of this monument sign compare to the ones that are there already?
In terms of the existing monument sign at the main hospital, this is slightly taller, I'd say, a couple feet taller. And we are utilizing the space in a efficient fashion to give correct letter heights for recognition of the various directions of facilities and marks. One thing of note is that we're actually in a visible zone where a driver could read this information. Previously, some of this information was too low on the sign, especially the address, which people are using to match up with their navigational technologies. So by elevating this to a prominent position, it's actually aiding in that navigation. Was there any questions before I go on?
So this is 15 feet,
15 feet overall height, correct.
and the ones that are existing there, what, 10 or 11?
I believe they're around 11 or 12 feet. Yes.
And what are there, 2 or 3 at the main campus? Emergency room 1 and...
There is 4 locations at the main campus. This would be the 5th along the road as well. And I could go into that in detail as well. I do have that
How far off the
exhibit.
road is this?
Let me go back to the main. So I'm going to try to zoom in here a little bit on this. So there is a 10-foot setback. It appears that the setback is from the right-of-way line, not necessarily the curb line. So
It's a really big sign for 10 feet off.
yeah, I would estimate that this is probably at least 30 to 40 feet off of the curb. And again, this is allowing our text on this sign to be properly sized for the passing traffic. We base many of our letter heights based on the municipal traffic codes, the uniform traffic codes that are a federal regulation that are adopted by state DOT organizations. So basing that 4.5-inch height for directional information and 6.5-inch height for the cancer center name are based upon those standards, the MUTCD federal standards.
Right, but in fairness, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of branding going on here that nobody necessarily needs to read or see when they're going for cancer treatment.
I mean, we are basically complying with the branding, and part of that is recognition of the site. So somebody recognizes this as a Barnabas Health facility, and they understand the connection to the main hospital.
Is there a reason you did this one bigger than the other? I mean, the other ones seemed to work great. I remember approving them. Is there a reason we did
so
this one taller?
There are a few visibility issues and legibility issues with the existing signs. It was communicated to us by the medical center that there were reported concerns from visitors about legibility. So in designing this, we took that into consideration.
All the empty space under the address kind of lends to the height as well.
Yes, that's correct. But we're trying to get within that visible windshield line of drivers and avoid any potential for obstruction of vehicles and vegetation.
But what's on the packet that we had previously, the address started lower.
That's correct. It was almost on the ground. You're referring to the existing sign?
No, I'm talking about what we had to review prior to this.
Oh, okay.
The one dated May 30th.
The Rutgers part took up more space.
Oh. I see, yes.
Right,
Right.
Right. Correct.
right. So what I was saying is if you were comfortable with the address at that height, maybe it could be dropped. The height, the ultimate height could be dropped a little bit.
Sure. I'd like to show the other exhibits first to see if there's any factor into that, but that's certainly a consideration that we could make.
Do you know how high, because it's not marked down here, how high is the address off the ground?
Right.
If it's to scale.
If you were to take this line across,
Before you move on.
Sure.
Can you just, what is the trim design area on the top of the sign? What's the purpose of that?
are you referring to the plan view at the top above the
Yeah, it's
sign?
just
Yes.
looking down from the
Just
sky.
looking
Yes,
down at the-
sure, that's the plan view, trying to,
That's not part of the sign then?
That's looking from the
it's,
from the
it's
top,
not
yeah.
part of the
From the top
elevation,
down.
it's the plan view, so we're trying to explain that that is the profile shape, as if you were looking down upon it.
It's not that thick.
Correct.
And also, I assume this is just a typo, but on the directional signs, it says quantity 7, but on the map, and you testified earlier that there's only 6. Right, I'm just clarifying how many there are.
Of the pylon on the left or of the directional signs on the right? What I was referencing earlier
The
was,
new directional signs, number 2, on this.
that's correct. So that quantity is 7. The item 1 on this drawing, new monument sign, there is one of these signs, and it is double-faced, meaning that there is content on both sides.
Right, but on your, when you testified earlier, I thought you said, and on the proposed sign map, it says there's 6 directional signs.
Let me go back to that.
She still has a short term
So there is one here, vehicular directional, this is the smaller, vehicular 2-08.
Right,
So 1, 2, 3,
I see 7,
4,
8, 9,
5,
10,
6.
12, and 13. You
Oh,
testified that there were
sorry.
6, and it says it on this map, on this chart, on your key here at the top left, it says 6, but
Yeah.
on the other one, it says 7.
6 is correct.
Okay, I just wanted to
It's a
clarify.
it's a mistyping on that other elevation.
That's
sorry.
what I assumed, I just
Yes.
wanted to clarify for the record.
Sure.
Thank
And
you.
it seems like those are really internal to the site. You're really not even going to see those.
That's correct. So that would not be for necessarily traffic from the road, that would be internal
just-
driveway traffic.
Right.
Yep,
Hey, Matt, I want to go back to the question about how high the address is
correct.
above the
Yeah, let me bring that elevation up for you, Doug. There you go. Yeah, I mean, I would estimate that it's about 4 feet off the ground. If you take a line across from this is 410.
I mean, if we're trying to like shrink this 15-foot height.
Would it make sense to flip the address and the white branding so that the address was a little bit more visible? So if somebody's got it in, I mean, I guess they're gonna see Cancer Center, it's a little tough to miss, but if they've got it in their GPS, they may be looking for the address. I'm wondering if that shouldn't be more prominent. You do signs all day, I'm just,
Right, yeah, we were trying to
this main
establish
entrance that
a
you put this-
hierarchy of information. So it was the Cancer Center directional information brand and then the address.
What's the purpose of the main entrance arrow? That's the only entrance, I think, right? It's the only entrance off Cedar, right? I guess you can go the back way.
It's
from-
the main entrance for this facility.
Right, but I think it's the only entrance, like, if you're on that
It's,
street.
it's also accessed off of the internal loop road from the hospital, so that's distinguishing the difference between the main entrance for the public off of Old Short Hills Road versus the service drive connector, which is internal to the site.
And the retail pharmacy, what is that intended to be replaced by like a company
No.
name pharmacy, or is that?
No, this is a Department of Health regulation that we have to list the retail pharmacy in a prominent fashion. So this is not like your CVS or Walgreens. It's primarily servicing this facility. But, due to those regulations, we're required to display it to the public in a certain fashion. So that's why we have that listing there.
If I were the Melchioris, I would want the top part of the sign a lot bigger and the rest of the sign a lot smaller. I think Barry's right. You're coming up to it, there's a traffic light, there's this huge building, and there's one entrance. So, I mean, I'm not looking for you to change the sign. I think we're gonna have to talk about maybe bringing the height down a little bit so that it's closer to the existing ones, which are, I think have worked and are pretty big.
Yeah.
And would be the biggest monument signs in town by a lot. No one's trying to hurt the hospital. But 15 feet seems really big. And there's a lot of information on there. That maybe there's a way we can get a couple of feet knocked off of it. I think that's what the board is, I'm hearing anyway.
Okay. Would you like to see the monument signs on the main hospital side as well?
Sure.
In terms of comparison? So yes, there's these auxiliary directionals throughout the site. We have all of those message listings as well. This is the proposed replacements. So the main hospital site would have those monument signs as well in order to update the messaging to respond to the current facility, as well as achieve better visibility and consistency. And so this is the main hospital sign. Here you'll see that there's a marked difference in terms of the way that the brand is presented, but the directional information is much more complex for the larger facility. So the way that this information stacks is a bit different. Here you see it compared to the existing monument sign at the main hospital. To your earlier question, is 11 foot 1 inch off of the ground. So
But
we
even
have
the
a-
existing,
yes.
the existing sign doesn't have, all that, doesn't have, 94 Old Shore Hills Road, however many feet that is, compared to the, what's there now, and it doesn't seem like there's been trouble finding it.
So on this diagram, this is a picture of where the address is currently placed. That 94 is the address at the bottom of the sign.
Okay, so what I'm looking at doesn't have the address on it.
Yeah, so that is, this specific elevation, it's actually not consistently done throughout the existing monuments. That's another issue in terms of consistency. But you'll see this photo in the bottom of the right corner of this drawing I have up now. The 94 is the address, and it's not necessarily recognizable as an address. It only has the numerics.
I'm looking at page 2.14.
Okay, yes,
Right, so that's what I was looking at, for comparison purposes.
sure. Between the two, that's correct.
And these are the 2.14 are the proposed replacements?
So we have our proposed replacement in item 1 on the left.
Okay.
And the existing sign representation is number 2 on the right.
Okay.
So, I'm talking about almost a 4 foot, over 4 foot increase. No, that's 11.1, never mind. A 4 foot increase.
That's correct. And you see, we also have a vehicle shadowed in here for size comparison and height. So in the current sign condition, much of the important directional information is blocked if there is a car queued up at the intersection.
New signs are, I think, easier to read and better looking.
Much better.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Excellent. So in terms of content, due to the change in brand, I think that we can examine a height difference if required.
Just to save a little bit of time, I can indicate if it's acceptable to the board, we're willing to remove 2 feet of the blank space to lower the sign by 2 feet.
To get us to 13?
Yeah.
So,
But to Mr. Cavalier's point, does that make it hard to read the address as you're driving?
I'm curious, and maybe it's just me, but if you have something on GPS, it usually tells you when you got to this location.
Right.
True.
You're not looking for the
And the
address.
You're
mailman
not looking
knows
for the
where it
address.
is.
I don't disagree.
Well, and you
Especially,
don't-
especially for such a large building.
Yeah, but having the address confirms it.
Yeah.
So I think it's belts and suspenders.
Well, and you don't have to just lop it off the bottom. You could skinny up the blue, the letters could be a hair smaller. I mean, I think 2 feet bigger than what you have, but 2 feet less than you're proposing, to me, sounds like a nice compliment.
Is there a reason that there's that extra space under north entrance? Are you anticipating potentially adding something underneath that?
The message load varies.
Oh, that's why. Oh, just to make them uniform?
Yes,
Okay.
correct, yeah. So sometimes you'll see that there's a lot more blank space just for consistency.
Mr. Janicic, are you proposing to reduce both signs 13 feet
Yes,
in height? Thank you.
you're welcome.
I think all the signs, right?
Every sign of this type,
All the monuments.
yes, correct.
All the ones that are currently at 15 will be reduced by 2 feet.
Great.
So that would be every sign labeled on the plan as VEH1 code. Okay. So that concludes our exhibit. We've reviewed all the sign types in the exterior package.
And I have no further questions.
I would just say, I think what you've done with the signage over the past 7 years with the Cooperman Pavilion and everything is great. I mean, if you go by any higher-end hospital, they're an attraction, right? And I think you've captured that. We've always been about, look, a great hospital is better for the town than a lousy hospital. So I think there's always been a welcome reception. When I was mayor, I was on the town council, we've always tried to work well with the hospital to get what works for you guys and what works for us. But I think, I'm happy to see you continuing the signage. I think the monument was a little big, we got that under control. You know when this cancer center is supposed to open?
We're projecting end of next year.
End of next year.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've said all I can say.
Yeah, no,
Any-
I like the looks of them. I think it's clearly an improvement, just aesthetically, just looks cleaner, more professional, just nicer looking sign, so. And I appreciate the compromise to lower it, just because 15 feet, I think, is like higher in this room.
I agree, they're more legible, the branding is great, and I agree, I appreciate you working with us.
So I'll move, subject to the 2-foot reduction in the monument signs. that
Can
we
I
approve.
just,
Oh, you want to check and see if there's anybody from the public?
exactly.
That's fair.
Are there any members of the public here to ask questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you. Any members of the public wish to make a statement either in favor of or against the application? Seeing none.
Now I'll make
Mr.
a
Vice
motion
Chair.
to approve the application, subject to the 2-foot reduction in the monument signs.
Second.
Any other comment or by any of the board members? Seeing none, Jackie?
Mrs. Santola,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Foss?
Yes.
Ms. Bishnu?
Yes.
Chairman Fernandez?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, with that, I think we are finished.
Motion adjourned.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure having you here.
Always.
Okay, thank you very much.